record. All right. Grab your coffee, grab your snacks.
Hey, Charles, there's your face. How you doing?
Oh, no, how you doing? All right, now don't start no mess. Don't start no foolishness. Where y'all based out of?
Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas, Texas.
Oh, you're in the Metroplex. The Metroplex.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be over there probably in March. I gotta talk to I don't know if you remember when you were on the freight broker training, James Nelson. Yeah, he's from the Metroplex. He works in he has a switchback GY6 freight brokerage. You guys might want to team up with James. James knows his stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
You may have to hook that up.
Yeah, so come in on Tuesday or Friday, probably Friday more so than Tuesday. Tuesday is for beginner brokerages. Friday's more of the, intermediate advanced. All right, so what's going on? Shoot.
Okay, so we sent off for our authority. Now let us ask you a question, Charles, because maybe you can explain it a little bit better. We're thinking about doing a DBA, okay, because our name that we chose is pretty lengthy, and so to cut it down when we're sending out, completing paperwork.
What's the name? Like Tamala and Selena, two beautiful moon taking over the freight brokerage industry forever and a day. What's the name?
Tam, tell them the name.
Divine Consulting and Logistics. DCL.
Divine Consulting and Logistics. That's not bad.
We were just trying to think of something that we could shorten it a little bit if we needed to, but we're trying to figure out, can you use those names interchangeably?
Yes, you can, especially logistics, because logistics covers like transportation, like a trucking company, that's logistics, a freight brokerage, that's logistics, freight forwarding, that's logistics. You don't want to have the word freight brokerage in your name, or no?
We didn't, because we planned to do some other things, so we wanted to keep it to where we can keep it broad and do some other things in it if we wanted to, or when we decided to.
Okay. Okay. So that should be Divine, because I need to write that down. Divine Consulting, ING.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And logistics.
Yep.
What about Divine Logistics? And then
it was taken.
Oh, okay. So
yeah, we had to add in something.
Are you talking about, when you say Divine Logistics, are you talking about just for the DBA?
Or just for the name in general? Or Divine?
Oh yeah. We definitely tried that. We already sent off for it, so that's the name that we gave you is will be the name because everything else was taken.
So this is LLC. This is an S corp, C corp partnership.
LLC.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So that should be fine. Or if you want to do a DBA, so what would your DBA be? Like something brokerage, or because you can have as many DBAs as you want under the name.
Do we need a DBA? I don't.
That's a good question. I don't think so, but I mean, Divine Consulting and Logistics. Initially, you're starting off as a freight brokerage. So you say you wanted to do other things. You want to do like a trucking side. You want to have a trucking side.
Well, we talked about, adding some box trucks at some point. We want to help people at some point, like even set up their LLCs and EIN numbers and all of that.
Okay, so that's the consulting side, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll have so whatever extra stuff you add, you can put the DBA for those things, right? So Divine Consulting and Logistics, DBA, with the box trucks, DBA with the consulting as far as helping people get their stuff, DBA with the freight brokerage, DBA with whatever other things you know, there's no limit in the DBAs you can add under one specific name. So why box trucks? Are box trucks heavy over there? LTL freight is heavy over there, or?
No, I'm gonna be honest. My husband says that he doesn't really agree with box trucks. He says it's hard to get loads. But we were thinking, like, what if we got to get in it and drive it ourselves, you know, at some point?
Absolutely.
Versus instead of having to wait on something. We don't have a CDL license.
So you can get a non-CDL box truck. There are, excuse me, I'm eating lunch too, by the way. There's CDL and non-CDL box trucks. The non-CDL box trucks are the 26 feet that can hold up to about 10,000 pounds. So the gross vehicle weight rating, the GVWR, gross vehicle weight rating for the box trucks is about 25,999 pounds. Can't be over 26,000 pounds. The whole truck. So, so you can drive a non-CDL with just a regular license, you know.
That's why we were thinking about the box truck.
So then you would get like Amazon loads. I'm sure there's Amazon fulfillment centers out there in DFW.
Yeah, we got one.
You know, you can go to relay.amazon.com and get some contracts with that. So where are you guys in the process of the freight brokerage?
We have some questions about it. What was one? The one, like the credit, the building the credit.
Yes, that was amazing.
How do we, when you say that, what do they mean? I mean, do they actually go and look at our credit score?
Well, when they first, they'll look at your personal credit score to determine what they're going to charge you when you apply for your BMC 84.
Surety bond.
Yeah, surety bond or trust fund 84, 85. The criteria, they'll use your credit score. But when you become active after that process, you need to try to build some business credit, and you want to consider getting a Dun & Bradstreet's number, a DMB, to help with that. You can open up like some small 30-day credit cards to buy stuff, like open up an Office Max credit card or something, buy some equipment for your office, pay that card off. Actually, you can build business credit with your business.
Okay.
That's how you build credit.
So under the business name.
Under the business name, that's correct. You're building business credit. You're establishing a history of paying back and stuff like that. Just small stuff. It'll build points up with your DMB number, and it'll build your credit score with your business name. So, okay.
And so that was the credit that you were talking about as far as building. The business credit was what you were speaking on.
Correct.
So how does this affect when it comes to getting shippers and stuff like that? Because I remember at some point in the training that you did, that we sat in, you mentioned something about when you're new that, you know, people don't necessarily want to deal with you when you're brand new because you haven't established any credit.
You haven't established any credit. You don't have any experience. You don't have what's called a book of business. You've never moved a load. That's why in some of the trainings, I usually recommend when people come in as want to be freight brokers, I recommend that they start off as agents under a brokerage to get some experience with an already established broker, to learn about their TMS systems, to learn the workflow and the life cycle and the process of how a load moves from the time that you get it from the shipper to the time that carrier delivers the load, and everything in between. But new brokers, they still want to, I got people who are new brokers who have shippers, and they just pounded the pavement with the phone calls and visiting. You're in an excellent area. There's no way I cannot see you guys establishing a brokerage in Dallas and not getting a shipper. There's 700 something cities. There's 777 cities in the Metroplex, right? So that's a lot. So you guys are within a driving radius of a ton of, I'm sure there's a ton of industrial parks out there, right? Commercial industrial parks, executive parks. So you can visit those. You just got to find, you don't even have to find a niche. You can just find the first shipper that'll give you an opportunity to be a logistics provider for that. That's what a broker is. You're pretty much providing logistics for the shipper, moving their freight on time, making sure that the carrier, you are a carrier procurer. you're getting capacity filled for that shipper via a carrier to move the loads. So you have a relationship with the shipper and you have a relationship with the carriers. And both of those parties are important. Carriers are important, so you make sure that you pay them a fair rate so they can move your loads on time and get them delivered. No damaged freight, no claims, because if that happens, that trickles uphill back to the shipper, and then you lose the contract. And then so you don't feed your family, right? So, but starting off with the shippers, I would visit this. I would call, do research on the companies, get an understanding of who they are, what they ship, and then ask those questions if you set up a meeting with them. Ask the questions about can we sit down and talk about how I can help you in some of your lanes, how I can help you save you about 20 to 25% on your capacity, or whatever strategies you decide to go with to talk to shippers under. Most people recommend to find a niche. What a niche is you find a specific specialty that you want to target. You don't have to, but some people say it's easier for them. You can target like certain equipment types and certain types of freight that go on those equipment types, like dry vans, flatbeds, and reefers. Are you guys familiar with those terms?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, and if there's anything I say that you don't understand, just let me know.
Now with the flatbeds, I know that they come in two different sizes, right? They have a 43 footer and or is that for flatbed, right?
48 and 53.
48 and 53.
48 feet and 53 feet. And there's different variations under the flatbed categories. There's standard flatbeds, there's RGNs, there's step decks, there's low boys, cattle trailers, possum trailers. There's different ones. The ones that you want to focus on are the standard skateboards. The standard flatbeds. We call them skateboards. Standard flatbeds and step decks.
Standard.
Okay.
And then you got the refrigerated or reefers, the trailers, and then the dry van trailers. The dry van and reefer trailers or reefer trucks, they're similar. It's just that the reefers have the units on the front of them, the control units, the temperature control units, was called a TCU. TCU, temperature control units. What that does is it keeps refrigerated what's in the trailer, what's being hauled, right? So people who go now with the reefer shippers, there are extras involved in that too. So if you call me as a broker, and whatever you said to me that convinced me to say, hey, yeah, send me your information. Speaking of which, do you guys have your two different packet types prepared for your brokerage yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, because there's two packets you're going to be dealing with as a broker. The broker shipper packet and the broker carrier packet, right? So the broker shipper packet is what you send to the broker to get set up. But before you do that, the broker, you'll talk to the broker, convince them, and then you'll ask them, well, can I quote one of your lanes? And if they say, yeah, the next thing you should ask is get as much detail about that lane. So when you get off the phone with them or leave the interview, you'll be able to provide as much information as possible so you can give them a right quote for that lane, which includes your margins, right? So your margins could be anywhere between 15 and 20%, right? So brokers have a shippers have a target rate. Let's say I got a target rate of $5,000 on every load tender that I'm giving you, and it's non-negotiable, right? So in that $5,000, you got to take out your margin. Let's say your margin is 20%. 20% of $5,000 is $1,000, right? So you get the load tender at $5,000 from the broker. You take your $1,000 off, just an example. You take your margin off 20%, and then you resell that load to the carrier for what? $4,000. Exactly. That's how that works. And there's a lot of intermoving parts in between that. That's just a high level example. That's one example if a shipper's target rate is non-negotiable. If the shipper allows you to quote them a lane, you want to ask a series of questions so you can get as much information from the shipper prior to returning with a quote that includes your margins. So for example, if you talk to me I'm the shipper and you're the broker, and you convince me, say, can we quote a lane for you before we do our before we do business? And I'll say, yeah, sure. And then you say, okay, let me ask you a series of questions. For this trouble lane that you're having trouble with, where is it picking up from? Where is it delivering to? How many stops is it? How many stops is it? Is there a number? Is there multiple stops in the pickup? Is there multiple stops in the delivery? What else? What are your accessorials? So what is it? Have you heard that term before? Accessorials.
I have not.
No.
Okay, so what an accessorial is, shippers, they have certain policies, accessorial policies. So when carriers pick up loads, they have concepts like detention, they have layover, they have what's called tonu, truck ordered not used. These are accessorial policies that the broker bills the shipper under to protect the carrier when those things happen. So if a carrier gets to a location and they have to sit there for X amount of hours, that's detention time. They're sitting there idle, so they should get paid for that. If a carrier, if you book a load with one of your carriers, either one of your approved carriers or one of your asset-based carriers, and I'll explain the difference. If you book a load with that carrier and the carrier's on their way to the to the shipper to pick the load up, and then you call them as a broker, say, hey, by the way, that load got canceled. The shipper canceled that load, I'm sorry. You have to give the carrier what's called a tonu, some tonu money, TONU, truck ordered not used. And that's an accessorial policy that you would discuss with the shipper initially when you set up that contract with them, because the shipper needs to cover the tonu, not the broker.
Okay.
Another one, layover. Let's say you get to a shipper, the carrier gets there a certain amount of time before it closes. He gets, it's a shipper that he got to, but they were getting ready to close, but he still got there on time. They told him, we're not going to be able to load you. We can load you partially, or we can just load you in the morning. You can just sit here, lay overnight and sit here, and then we'll get you first thing in the morning. Well, then the carrier needs to be paid for that. That's called layover pay. So that's another accessorial. So there's a ton of accessorials. Detention is one of the major ones across all the equipment types: detention, tonu, layover. There's a few others. I have a list. I actually got an email from another broker that has a ton of the accessorials. I can send that to you guys later.
Okay.
How do you spell that, accessorials?
ACCESSORALS. Accessorials. Like accessories, accessorials.
Okay, accessorials.
I was close.
Duh. Duh.
Just spell it phonetically.
Okay, but listen, so can we go back for a minute?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about, okay, so that surety bond that we have to get, that's a one-time annual fee that we have to pay? Okay. And then the $75,000 insurance that we have to pay, that's the one that's going to be pretty much monthly.
No,
Is that a monthly fee?
The surety bond is the $75,000.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh.
So that's good. So, because I was thinking that we had to buy this surety bond, and then we still have to have some kind of insurance over the, I guess the supplies or the equipment. Yeah, the cargo. So basically the surety.
Actually, you do.
Okay.
It's not required, but so here's the surety bond. So step one is getting your authority active, right, with the bond, with the So the steps in the MCSA or FMCSA, you're applying for your authority. You guys have applied for your authority already, right? Your broker of property authority. Okay. And so you're in the process. Are you in that 21-day wait stage or what?
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. We applied for our legal authority for our business authority. We haven't done, because the business authority and the broker authority are two different entities, correct?
Right. So you're applying for your business license and your business name and everything like that.
Right.
You haven't started the process of actually applying for a broker authority yet.
Okay, so that's what we need to.
No. We have not done that part yet.
Okay.
So so we have to do the MC authority number.
Right. So let me go back. Let me go to the flow chart. So in this
okay,
in this freight broker 101, this is the back office area. This is one of the sections. freight broker requirements. Scroll to the top. So here's a flow chart of that.
That's what I need.
Right here. So when you first apply, broker authority application process illustrated. Applicant, which is you guys, starts by completing and submitting the OP1 form. That's a $300 fee. So you go to the FMCSA.dot.
Charles, can you put it up for us so we can see it and look at it as you're going through it?
I thought I shared my screen. I didn't share my screen?
No, I just see you.
Oh, I see it.
I don't. Why I don't see it? Maybe.
What, you got
Hold
an
on,
Apple?
let me see.
You got Apple. You got an Apple product or something, don't you? An iPad or something?
No, I have a this is HP laptop.
Okay.
Hold on, let
Maybe
me
it's the way
see.
you have your stuff set up. Is your face big or his face big?
You guys' faces are big, so let me see. Okay, I see what I'm doing wrong. Give me a second. There we go.
Okay.
Now I see it. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
Ready?
Is this flow
Yes.
chart in our paperwork that you gave us? Hold on,
No.
let's see. Okay.
It is not. It's in the back office.
Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but this is the process that you would do. You would go on to the fmcsa.dot.gov website and
Mhm.
apply for your broker authority. You apply for a type of authority, the type of authority you're applying for, because you can apply for a motor carrier authority and you can apply for a broker authority. The motor carrier has 4 types. The broker has 2 types, broker of property and broker of household goods. I'm assuming you guys are doing broker of property, right?
Yeah. What is the difference with like household goods? What is that? What would that be considered?
Just moving companies, like you'll be able to move people's
Oh.
stuff out of their houses.
Okay. Yeah. No, we're gonna do a property.
Right. So you complete that form, submit it online, or you can do it manually. I suggest do it online because the mail takes about 30 to 60 days. So,
Okay.
and then you're issued an MC docket number. The application is reviewed by the FMCSA. And in this box here, if it's for a broker of property, it goes through a vetting process. It goes down here. But otherwise, it just continues to go through and it's posted. Your information is posted in the FMCSA register as someone who's filed to have a brokerage. Not that is active, but they filed to have a brokerage, okay? Right here. Next thing you would do, you will apply for your bond. Either a surety bond or a trust fund. This is where the $75,000 come in. The bond or the trust fund, it used to be $10,000 years ago, but the Obama administration enacted a law called the MAP-21, MAP 21. What that stands for is moving ahead for progress in the 21st century. And what it did is it raised the bar, the financial requirement of the bond from $10,000 to $75,000 because everybody was applying to be a broker for such a cheap price, but didn't know what they were doing. So they raised the price to make it a little bit more difficult, right? So the bond is, let me scroll down to the bond portion so I can break it down a little bit more before I come back to the top. The surety bond, right here. Surety bond, 75,000. It's a BMC 84. The BMC 84, which is the surety bond, is credit based. The trust fund is asset based. You see that sentence right there? And it's deposited in escrow into an account. Okay. So the surety bond is a surety or a promise by the individual to pay one party, being the individual whom the services were received, which is the carrier, a certain amount if the second party, the broker, fails to meet their payment obligation. So your bond is a way of having insurance against you not doing the carrier wrong or the shipper wrong for that matter. That's the whole point of having the bond, okay? And the requirements, here are the requirements for a surety bond. You have to be a U.S. citizen. No bankruptcies in progress. No judgments or liens more than $1,500 because that shows financial irresponsibility. Okay. No past due child support, and no open or prior surety claims. In other words, if you were a broker in the past and you still got claims against you, they can't be open claims. They have to have been settled. Okay.
Okay.
Any questions about the bond?
I have one. Okay, so what is the difference between the trust bond and the surety bond?
The surety bond, the BMC 84, that's based off of your credit. The trust fund, the BMC 85, is asset based and deposit directly into a bond for use in an emergency. So the trust fund,
so
you have to have $75,000. You have to have all of that $75,000 and deposit it into an escrow account. That's why most people take on the surety bond, because it's easier. It's like an insurance. You just pay a certain amount per year to have $75,000 worth of coverage.
Okay, I get it.
And it's based off of credit. I had something up here. Let me open this up real quick. So if your credit is good, it determines how much you can. Let's see. I thought I had this up here. I'm on my desktop real quick. I know it's up here.
I wonder, how do they do it, like with us, coming in as business partners? Should one of us let them run us for the surety bond, or both of us? Or, I wonder, how does that work when it's more than one person involved?
That's a good question. I would depends on how you structure your business, how you set it up as far as, man, where did I put that thing? Here it is. Okay, so surety bond. Let me share my screen for this piece here. And let me know if you can see that.
I got it.
Okay. So number 5, the freight broker bond, BMC 84. Okay. It makes sure brokers keep their contractual agreements among shippers and carriers. Other names for the bonds are ICC surety bond, transportation broker surety bond, trucking surety bond. And then there's some organizations you can call and check into for this, like Land Surety and Associates, and there's their phone number and website. So the applicants with good credit scores will pay between 2% and 5% per year for the bond. And I give an example. Applicants with bad credit scores will pay 5 to 13%. So of the 75,000. So let's open up a calculator. So if you got good credit score, you fall into the 2 to 5% per year annual. That's of the 75,000. So they're saying, let's say you guys got good credit. So 2% of 75,000 is what? 1,500. 5% of 75,000 is 3,750. See what I'm highlighting right there?
Yes.
You just take the percentages, those range, 2 to 5%, and you multiply it by the total of the bond, 75,000. That'll tell you how much you're paying for the year for that bond. So 2% of 75,000 is 1,500. 5% of 75,000 is 3,750, and this is per year. So now you can take those numbers between 1,500 and 3,750 per year, and divide that by 12, and that'll tell you how much you're paying per month for that surety bond, right? So if you got, but that's if you got a good credit score. So now the question becomes, what determines your good credit score? That you have to, it's a case-by-case basis with the bond companies, right? It can be personal credit, it can be any bankrupt, anything that you have on your personal side to help determine what your broker side credit score is going to be. Okay, so you can be paying between 1,500 to 3,750 a year for the bond. Divide that by, so 1,500 divided by 12. That's not a lot. Monthly, that's $125 a month. and then the 3750. Most people pay it quarterly, like once a quarter. They break it down in fours.
Right.
But because you keep track of your taxes quarterly, possibly so.
And these are the companies here that we can apply for the surety bond through.
Right. Yeah. So TIA Net. So surety bond providers, TIAnet.org, JW Surety, Lance Surety. Those are the companies. That's just as an example. Let me paste these in the chat here for you guys. I just pasted in the chat.
But this process, but we can't even do this until we first do our brokerage authority.
Yeah, you have to apply for, and as far as the workflow, you have to apply the order of operation, if you will. Let me share the screen back again. Can you see the website screen?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So apply for the MC authority, which is the broker of property. And then the next step in the illustration is BMC 84 or 85. And that's filed with, that's also filed with the FMCSA. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then
okay, so
go ahead.
I just want to make sure that I'm having a clear understanding when it comes to the surety bond. So we can contact, one of the companies that you placed in the chat about the surety bond. They'll do all the running the credit and approving us for whatever percentage or whatever. And then how do we get that to the FCSA?
You can do it through the FMCSA, or if you do it with Lance or JW or whatever, they'll do that for you through the FMCSA.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
And then after so you're applying for the authority first, then the bond, and then BOC3, which is blanket of coverage or blanket of companies. That's called, you have process servers, right? And process agents that serve legal paperwork to you guys. Like if you have a claim filed against you, a lawsuit or whatever, every state has a certain number of process agents. So say you're brokering out a DFW, one of your carriers had an accident or some kind of claim over in Ohio. Well, then the process agent in Ohio would fax that claim information to the process agent in your area in DFW, and then that person will come serve you papers. You've been served, kind of thing, right? That's all that is. It's just, but it's a requirement in case something like that happens. So that's a BOC3, blanket of coverage. Okay.
Okay.
That's like $69. Okay. So now after those,
is that the $69? Is that monthly or for the entire year?
that's a one-time payment.
Okay.
So after you got your authority, you applied for your authority and it's documented that you filed for it, and you got your bond and you got your BOC3, then there's a 10-day period to receive protests against it, because they make all this a public record, right? It's open to the public to protest the fact that someone just applied for a new authority, a broker authority. So people can protest that within 10-day period. After that, if there's no protests that were received, then your authority becomes effective when you get a certificate issued to you. It becomes active at that point. If there is protests, then the FMCSA is going to see what the protests are and try to resolve them. Then after they resolve, the same thing happens. You get an active authority at that point.
Okay, and at that point, then we're kind of ready to roll, trying to find a shipper and really trying to get the business started.
Yeah, so but during that process, I would recommend you guys do some back office work. like while you're waiting for your authority and stuff like that to become active, I would be preparing my packets, my broker shipper packets and my broker carrier packets, right? So while you're waiting, right, I wouldn't waste any time. I would try to utilize that time efficiently. While you're waiting for one thing, you can be working on something else, right? So as a broker, there's two packets you deal with. The shipper packet. So what are the contents of the, so you have to create a broker shipper agreement, and which is this right here, broker shipper agreement. This is just an example of what a broker shipper agreement, this is a template of what a broker shipper agreement look like. You can take some of the verbiage and use it for your own company. This is like 5 pages. Broker shipper agreement. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. So that's a broker shipper agreement. That'll be in the packet. Also would be in the packet is your credentials, your MC authority letter. So this is what your MC authority letter is going to look like when you get it back from the FMCSA and it finally becomes active. It's going to have a service date that it became active right here. These are the governing bodies, the DOT and FMCSA. It's going to have your MC number, your DOT number for your brokerage, and it's going to have the type of brokerage. You are a broker arranging of transportation of freight, except household goods. So you are a broker of property. This is just an example of what a MC authority looks like for a broker. Okay. What else is going to be in your packet is, why is that sliding down? Get that. I got to go back in there. Either your BMC 84, which I don't know if you've seen what one looks like, but that's a BMC 84. Okay. And this is a BMC 85, the trust fund or the surety bond. A copy of yours with your information in it. And then your W-9 with your EIN number for your brokerage and your information. That's pretty straightforward, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then a copy of some type of insurance. So most shippers are now requiring, it's not a requirement for brokers to get insurance, but it's highly recommended because most good paying shippers are requiring brokers also to have insurance.
Okay, so that's for the cargo.
Well, there's different types. There is contingent cargo, which is what you're talking about. There is E&O, errors and omissions. And then there's general liability, which covers BI and PD, bodily injury and property damage. So
I'm sorry, give me one more time. Okay, so contingent cargo, E&O, and what was the other?
General liability. So contingent cargo is the main one. E&O is errors and omissions. That covers the broker when they make mistakes. Like you may get a shipper that has a flatbed type of equipment type, and they require their loads to be tarped. You neglect to tell the carrier that. When they get to the shipper to pick the load up, they do not tarp it. They just strap it in. They go to the receiver to deliver it. It gets rejected because it wasn't tarped. That comes back to you, broker, because you neglect. So that's an errors and omissions coverage. You will file a claim with your errors and omissions to cover the cost of that and to pay the carrier. So errors and omissions. Contingent cargo is just cargo contingent to the carrier's cargo. Carriers usually carry about 100,000 cargo. If you add another 100,000 with your contingent cargo, that's 200,000 coverage on the cargo. What's in the truck, what's in the trailer, up to $200,000, right? And then
Okay.
carriers have $1 million liability, so you can have $1 million. So that's $2 million liability. So now you're showing the shipper that you have skin in the game as a broker. So if you can show the shipper like I got insurance as well as my carrier, I'm showing you that I want to cover your freight, like over cover it. A shipper will be more willing to work with you, right? So that's that.
Okay, I got a quick question on the cargo insurance. So say for instance, we get a shipper, we get a carrier who is gonna carry a load for us. Say for instance, something happened and he had a wreck, the cargo turned over. Who's responsible to pay that? Is it the carrier?
The carrier's insurance will kick in because the carrier's, whether it was the carrier's fault or was accidental, his coverage kicks in first. And then whatever's left over that he can't cover, then yours kick in. That's what contingent, that's what the contingent means. Contingent upon if the carrier can cover it. If it can't, then whatever's left over, you keep, you cover the change.
Okay.
So do you recommend when it comes to this contingent cargo, the E&O, as well as the general liability, do you recommend getting all three, or just getting one, two? What do you recommend as far as the additional coverage?
I would start off with contingent, because with new
Okay.
brokers, you guys are brand new, so you're real meticulous about your brokerage. So you're following things and making sure, and you got your first shipper, so you want to impress them so much so that you're following the freight and you're making sure that you're not making any errors. So you're probably real careful about that. So the E&O probably wouldn't be a need, but definitely contingent cargo, and maybe even consideration for liability.
Okay.
Okay. And the other thing that's in the form is a credit application, which your factoring company provides you, because you want to run a credit on the shipper. You want to make sure that the shipper is factorable, because shippers, they have credit scores too. They are rated also. Brokers are rated, shippers are rated, carriers are rated. Everybody has a credit rating to determine, especially in the eyes of a factoring company, if they're factorable, if the factoring companies are willing to float that money to pay you guys ahead of time, because shippers are not paying, they don't have factoring companies. They pay you net 30, net 60, net 45. Those are days, right? So do you guys have a factoring company?
Not yet. So at what point do we do no, you said who did you say do the credit check? The
factoring company.
factoring company does that for us.
Right, so if you got a factoring
Okay.
company, yeah, if you have a factoring company, then you would include a credit application from your factoring company in your broker shipper packet when you send it to the shipper. So the only thing the shipper is going to return, everything you send here, the shipper keeps. The only thing they're going to return is the broker shipper agreement filled out and the credit application filled out. They're keeping your credentials because they need that to keep on file for themselves.
Okay.
To keep your information, but they're returning the credit application and your broker shipper agreement filled out so that you can have a copy of for yourself. And then you just send the credit application to your factoring company and they let you know if that shipper is factorable or not. And then you move on from there. And then of course you keep your broker shipper agreement in your internal filing system for your brokerage, in file folders, filing cabinets, however you do that for X amount of shippers. So
with brokers, do they typically use just one factoring company or a couple?
Usually one. I can't see them. Yeah, it's a cost thing with factoring companies. So usually one. Most factoring companies, they charge between 1% to 5% based on the type of factoring they're doing, recourse or non-recourse, and it's based off of the credit of the broker. So, yeah. All right. So that's the broker shipper packet or agreement, or what you would send to that. Now you have the broker carrier agreement, what you send to the carrier to get them onboarded to your brokerage. So there's different types of brokerages. There are asset-based and non-asset. The difference is the asset-based brokerages, they are a brokerage who have their own truck and trailers. So they have a trucking side with the brokerage. The non-asset-based, their carriers are contracted to them through the broker carrier agreement. That's how you get the carriers onboarded, through a broker carrier agreement. This right here. This is a long version of it right here. It's like 13 pages, but I just put the first and last page here on the website, I believe. Yeah. The first page is filled out and then the last page is filled out where you guys sign it. It's just the agreement between the carrier and the broker to transport freight at whatever cost and whatever you guys agreed upon. There's a lot of verbiage in it. So, so in addition to that, so here's what the broker carrier packet includes. The broker carrier agreement, a copy of the carrier's profile, which lists who they are, what equipment types they have, how much, if they have a factory company, their information, their insurance, whatever. A copy of the carrier's MC authority, usually a common carrier. A copy of the carrier's certificate of insurance. A copy of the carrier's W-9. And a copy of the carrier's notice of assignment or NOA form. So the NOA form, notice of assignment, is the carrier's way of doing a credit check on you, the broker. it's the carrier's, the NOA is the carrier's factoring company form that you, the broker, fill out and return to the carrier, just like what the shipper did with your credit application, filled it out and returned it to you. Okay. You guys follow that?
Yes.
Okay. So.
Okay, quick question. So let's say we got everything in place. We send our packet to the shipper and we got our packets out to the carrier. How long does it take after the packets are sent out before everything is, approved, so to speak, and then we can get everything going from that point? How long does it take for everything after you get the packets sent out?
On the shipper side, it depends on how long the shipper takes to fill out and get it back to you, and how long the your factoring company determines whether or not that shipper is factorable. On the broker carrier side, that depends on how long you, the broker, onboard your process of onboarding that carrier to your brokerage, how long that process takes before you decide. So you're gonna have load boards in your brokerage. You're gonna have what's called a TMS system, transportation management software, and those transportation management software have built-in features to help you streamline your brokerage. One of those features is an onboarding feature where you can receive all the paperwork from the carrier electronically and then process it into your TMS system and make sure that that carrier is in compliance with all of your requirements for your brokerage. So, and then that could take about 30 minutes, to do that. So by the time you can do an onboarding for your carrier, you can send them a link to your website. You can have an integration in your TMS system where the onboarding process is done electronically. You can send them a link to your website. They can log in by putting their DOT or MC in there. Once they do that, it automatically populates with most of the public data, and then the rest of the data they can fill in, that data. But a TMS system most brokers use TMS systems. You guys heard of TMS systems? Transportation management software. Some popular ones.
Curious.
Yes.
I'm curious about how much are these TMS systems running a month?
They vary mainly on what features you having and what type of integrations and plugins that you want to have for your brokerage. That determines the cost. The cheapest one I recommend for beginner brokers, and then they can migrate later on if you're not in a place where you can afford the more advanced ones starting out, is the one called Ascend. This first one, Ascend. Ascend has a basic version and a premium version. The premium version, I think, is like $69 a month. I think.
Okay.
So that's not bad. And a lot of this stuff you can write off as a business expense, right? So.
Okay.
And it integrates with the DAP board. It integrates with 123. It integrates with different load boards. So here's an Ascend. Here's what Ascend looks like. This is the Ascend TMS. I have a login for mine. But me and James over in Dallas, we're going to be working with more of an enterprise TMS system. It's called Load Manager. But that's a big one. But
so are y'all going to be doing some work together?
Oh, definitely. We're taking over Dallas. I'm sorry. So you're talking to your competitor right now, but
we ready for it.
We can network. You don't have to be our competitor.
You're right. You're absolutely right. So the TMS system, the basic plan, you have a dashboard, which is this area, and then you have over here on to the left, you have loads where you can build loads. You can look at current loads that you have in your system. You have EDI and tenders. Tenders are what the shippers send you, their rates, their tenders, so you can process it and create a rate confirmation. So you got load tenders coming from the shippers. You put that into your TMS system and you produce the rate confirmation for the carriers. Okay. Did I lose you guys?
Nope.
No.
Because I don't see you. Okay, there.
Can you hear us?
I'm here.
I see you. Somebody click something on there and kick me
That
out?
was me messing with my light.
All right, so, and then you got customers who are the shippers. This is from a broker's perspective.
Mhm.
Customers who are your shippers. Assets are your trucks that you own in your brokerage. Carriers are trucks that you do not own. They're non-assets. Those are carriers that you brought on board to your brokerage. Networked carriers or approved carriers, like we like to call it. Okay?
Mhm.
And then you have locations where you work out of, rates. You can do a rate. Document management, reporting and accounting. That's all in-house stuff. You guys can keep track of your, bookkeeping and stuff like that. And then, help and settings. In the settings, you can change the fields. You can kind of update and tweak the TMS systems to match with your brokerage. So, but this is the basic out of the box software that you can change over. So
Okay.
that's just one example of a TMS system.
Oh, when you said loads, the icon where it said loads, that's where you can post your loads.
Yes, what you have to build the load first. So you open this up. You can view loads that you've already put in there. You can search loads that are already in there, but you can build loads. Once you build a load, after the end of building a load and creating what's called a rate confirmation, you can also, at the same time, print that rate confirmation or send it to the carrier, either electronically through text, email, and simultaneously post it to the load board. So you got load templates, search load boards, stuff like that. So that's all under loads. And then EDI.
Okay, so this Ascend TMS is one entity that we'll be using, but then we also have to have an additional load board where we'll be posting our loads for carriers, right?
That's correct. It would be advisable, and one of the popular load boards to get is the DAT load board, DAT.
Okay.
Either DAT, Power, Truckers, Internet Truck Stop, or the like. You ever seen the DAT load board, DAT?
No,
You
I
have?
haven't.
Now you said Ascend will integrate with that, right?
Yes, you have to have a plug-in so it can integrate with it. Once you get the premium version, it'll ask you during the installation process whether or not, if you have a DAT load board, if you want to integrate your Ascend TMS with that DAT load board. And then it's going to ask you for the credentials for the DAT, the login credentials, so it can integrate with it.
Okay.
Okay.
What was the name of the the load board? I think it's called Post Everywhere, right?
That is correct. Post Everywhere is the load board where you can post one load and it touches about 32 load boards simultaneously.
So I'm assuming that one was probably a little bit more expensive than the others.
That's a big negative.
No?
No, let's go here. Post Everywhere. So right here, you can do a 30-day trial. I'm trying to see what the pricing is for this. But I think I paid I would say no more than about $40 a month or something like that.
That's
That's
not
not
bad.
bad at all.
So why not just use Post Everywhere rather than DAT or Power or one of the other ones?
Ding, 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 ding. But because some of the features of that and the other ones are outside of the realm of what Post Everywhere provides. So here's Post Everywhere.
Okay.
These are the load boards that it posts to. Look at all these load boards.
That's a lot.
And here's the features of it. So it posts loads and it posts trucks. So it posts loads only on 1, 2, 3 load boards. It posts loads and trucks on A1 freight matching. And then it posts loads on other ones and posts trucks on 2 of them simultaneously. So 1, 2, 3 load board is a good one. Freight, Direct Freight Services. These are pretty good load boards. Free Freight Search.
Yeah.
Haul Hound is pretty good. Load Solution is good. Next Load. I have some of these in my back office on the dispatcher side. Trucker's Path I got. So yeah. And then I'm trying to get the cost though. It just says start a free trial. They want you to start a free trial and then they'll probably include Yeah. So what's the posting solution? What's the TMS part? So I forget the number. So if you hit start a free trial, then you just got to sign up for it and blah 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 and get the numbers.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they want you to just do that stuff.
We'll
So
look into it.
Okay.
So. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I got another question regarding your class, the broker class. So
Okay.
what do people benefit from being in that broker class?
Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you something real quick. Now, is that broker class and the dispatcher class integrated? Like how when we went on the other day, you had brokers and dispatchers in there together?
It's not supposed to be, but sometimes it is. There's two different price
Okay.
points or two different trainings. There's two different levels of training. Like some dispatchers in the dispatch course who are far enough advanced and want to open up a brokerage, they'll want to attend as a guest some of the broker trainings, and I pretty much invite them. Say yes, that's no problem. So,
Okay.
but
Gotcha.
so here's what you get in the broker. You were asking what you get in the broker trainings. You get an opportunity to. There's several brokers in here that are willing to bring on new agents from day one. So while you're waiting to apply, get your broker authority open, you can actually work for a broker and kind of get a feel as an agent of that process, right? Also, too, you get, we go over prerequisites of freight brokering, which you guys are probably already know. You know, having your business plan, having business license, things like that, a legal structure, you know, stuff like that. Broker requirements we just talked about. The difference between a freight broker and an agent. Are you guys considering bringing on agents for your brokerage at some point to help you guys do the
Yes,
cold
at some
calling?
point.
Yes.
And then what will be the requirements? So you have to consider what will be your vetting requirements. How would you determine what qualifies a person to work as an agent under your brokerage? Level of experience, you know, things like that. Book of business. So.
Tell me what that book of business is. Say, for instance, if we were going to go under somebody as a freight, as a agent, do we like keep a list of the shippers that we acquired while we were with them?
That's exactly right. That's what a book of business is. The number of shippers you acquired, and some brokers that you work under, when you leave and become your own broker, you can take your business with you.
Oh.
Okay.
You take your book.
But what if they have a clause in their contract?
Then you consider whether you,
then
you would consider whether you want to work with them. Let's say I'm the broker.
Gotcha.
You guys are under me as agents. I say once you leave, you can take 50% of your book of business with you. Leave me 50 as a way of showing you appreciation for working with me, or leave me 30%.
Gotcha.
Leave me 30%. You take 70% of your business, or something like that.
Gotcha.
So.
And do you know what the usual percentage is that like an agent would pay the broker as far as shippers that they bring on?
It's usually for new agents who do not have a book of business and no experience, it's usually either 50-50 or 60-40.
Okay.
And then as you gain more experience, it's 70-30, and the cap is about 80-20.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. All right. So let's see. We talk about, we got 3 modules, but we break it down. We got the workflow, the 4 R's, working capital. Module 1 deals with basically the customers or the shippers, dealing with those customers. And then packet types, we just went over that. The different packets you guys are going to have to eventually develop for your brokerage. Module 2 talks about either approved carriers or asset-based carriers. You probably, I don't know if you guys have any assets. You don't even have a brokerage yet. So
No.
assets under there. So 1 second, let me take this call real quick.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, this is Charles. How you doing? I just texted. I was in a training. I'm doing freight broker training right now. I can send it. Yeah. The first number was, I'm assuming you called the company number, the 695-9565. Yeah, that's the business line. It forwards to my phone. So I'm gonna go ahead and email you those ebooks while I'm online in my training. Okay. All right, no problem. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. You're fine.
Okay, so
okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, I'll hold my question because it's really not that important right now.
That's not true. All questions are important. So
I was gonna ask that with the carrier shipper and the carrier shipper packets, you will provide those if we come in under your training. Like we can use yours, or do we still build our own?
You can use my templates to build your own.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. I'm just showing you the templates of what they look like, and then you design yours, because only you know how your brokerage wants to run, right? You know what your verbiage is and what you say for that verbiage. So
gotcha.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So somebody just ordered an ebook. Let me send this. Which ebook did she purchase?
Okay.
I didn't even say.
What's in the ebook? Is that what we already have?
You got a freight broker ebook, but she ordered a dispatcher ebook, so I'm gonna go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I purchased your ebook, your dispatching ebook. I don't even know which one she purchased, so I have to see. Anyway, so yeah, approved and asset-based carriers. More than likely you guys are non-asset-based brokerages. So
right.
You don't have any truck and trailers in your brokerage yet. So you're going to be approved. You're going to have approved or networked carriers under your brokerage who have come in and filled out the broker carrier agreement and got set up with your brokerage. They're owner operators and they got set up with your brokerage to run loads for you guys, and you're paying them accordingly. Okay. And then that's module 2. We go over those. And then module 3 and the things under module 3 is the workflow of booking a load, booking loads, the actual process from the time that you get a shipper and a load tender from that shipper to the time that carrier delivers that load and everything in between, the whole process. So, and that's what we offer.
Okay.
So now what was your question? You said you had a question.
Okay, Charles. So let's say if me and Tam decide that we want to go ahead and do your training, can we wait though until we at least have our brokerage authority and got everything kind of going with that part before we go ahead and enroll into the training for everything else?
You can, or you can do it before and learn as much while you're waiting for your stuff to get approved. That way, by the time it gets approved, you'll have some knowledge. You'll be ahead of the game. So, that's your choice. That's your choice. And there's no rush in that decision as well. So yeah, that's your choice.
Okay, but we'll just well, when we do it, you'll see our payment and everything.
And you can still attend my trainings as guests Tuesday and Friday, just to get some more questions answered, any clarity, so.
And you have access for a year?
You have access for up to a year. It shouldn't take that long to get started, but I give you that much time. You have access to the resource for up to a year, and then I kick you out.
Okay. We gotta flap our wings and fly.
Yeah, but it shouldn't take that long.
Okay.
It should not take that long. So.
Okay.
So if we come in as guests on Tuesdays and Friday, do we just use the same login?
Same login. Yep. Same login. That is correct.
Okay.
You cleared a lot of my questions today, so I appreciate that.
And mine too. Thank you so much, Charles. You have been a pleasure.
No, that's you ladies. You ladies. Not me. So.
Okay, so me and Selena will get together and decide when we want to go ahead and join, and I guess we'll be in touch.
Yes, ma'am. You guys got my contact information, my email. You know who I am.
Yep.
So,
and you got ours, right?
Yes, ma'am. I still got it in the original freight broker seminar.
Okay, perfect.
Let me
So
double
if I text you, you won't be like, who are you?
Well, I don't save the numbers. If you text me, identify yourself. Like, hey,
Okay,
this is
gotcha.
Selena, or hey, this is Tamala from the Freight Broker Seminar. And then I'll say, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember you guys. Divine Consulting Logistics.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So you
So
guys
let
gonna do
me
great
ask you,
things.
I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna let you go real quick, two minutes. With the DBA, we can't go ahead and just DBA it. You know what? Never mind. That would be the question for Tamala. I'll get with her and talk to her about that.
Okay.
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 All right.
All
Thank
right.
you so much,
Thanks,
Charles. Have a
Charles.
good night.
All right, ladies.
And enjoy the Super Bowl. Who you going
Ah.
for?
All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.